I remember the day Mom said I could go to McDonald's by myself. It was a bright Saturday morning, the kind where the sun feels like it's shining, just for you. I was 10, and going to McDonald's alone was a big deal. Mom was hesitant at first, but I begged, promising to be careful and cross the streets at the lights. Finally, she agreed, handing me a $10 bill with a stern look that said, "Be safe." The walk to McDonald's was short, but it felt like an adventure. I remember the sound of my sneakers slapping against the sidewalk, the way my shadow stretched long and heroics in the morning sun. I felt grown up, independent. When the golden arches came into view, my heart raced with excitement. I pushed through the doors into a world that smelled like fries and sounded like happiness. Inside, the place buzzed with life. Families huddled around tables. Kids laughed in the play area, and the cashiers moved with a rhythm that felt like a dance. I stepped up to the counter, my chest puffed out a little. Ordering for myself felt important, adult-like. After I got my tray, I picked a booth near the window. I liked watching the cars zoom by, imagining where they were going. As I munched on my fries, I listened to the sounds around me. The sizzle from the grill, the soft murmur of conversations, the occasional burst of laughter. It was perfect. Just me, my happy meal, and a sense of freedom that tasted better than anything in the world. I had no idea how quickly that feeling would disappear. With the last fry from my happy meal, I decided to head to the bathroom before my journey back home. The McDonald's was still buzzing with energy, but I was too full and content to pay much attention. Pushing open the bathroom door, the change in atmosphere was immediate. It was quieter, cooler, and for a moment, I felt like I had stepped into another world. I was alone, or so I thought. As I washed my hands, I noticed the bathroom door creak open. A man stepped in. He was tall and wore a long, dark coat, which was odd given the warm weather. He didn't go to a stall or the urinal. Instead, he just stood there, near the door, his face partly hidden under a wide-brimmed hat. At first, I tried to ignore him, thinking he was just waiting for someone. But he didn't move. He just stood there silently, facing the door. A chill ran down my spine. I dried my hands, and my heart began to beat faster. There was something off about him, something I couldn't place, but it made me uneasy. I mustered up my courage and hurried past him, avoiding eye contact. As the door swung shut behind me, I felt a wave of relief, thinking the strange encounter was over. I decided not to tell Mom. She'd worry and might not let me come here alone again. With a quick glance over my shoulder, I saw him still standing there, a silent, ominous figure. Shaking off the creepy feeling, I picked up my pace, eager to put distance between myself and the McDonald's. I told myself I was just being silly. After all, what could a man in a bathroom do? But deep down, something felt wrong, terribly wrong. As I walked away, the brightness of the day couldn't chase away the shadow that encounter had cast. It clung to me, a whisper of fear that I tried desperately to silence. I was halfway home when a prickling sensation crept up my neck, the kind you get when you feel someone's watching you. I turned around and my heart skipped a beat. It was him. The man from the bathroom. He was a distance away, but unmistakably following me. His long coat and hat made him stand out like a shadow against the sunny street. Panic seized me. I quickened my pace, hoping he would turn off at the next street, but he didn't. He kept following, matching my speed with an eerie persistence. I wanted to run, but fear glued my feet to the ground. This couldn't be happening. Things like this didn't happen, not in real life, not to me. Every rational thought in my mind screamed that it was just a coincidence, but the terror in my gut knew better. The once familiar streets felt alien, and every rustle of leaves, every creak of a gate, heightened my alarm. I needed to lose him, to get away, but how? My mind raced. I remembered a shortcut through a small park nearby. It was a gamble, but I had to take it. I darted down the path, my heart hammering against my chest. I glanced back. He was still there, a relentless predator in pursuit of prey. I emerged from the park, my breaths ragged, hoping to see him gone. But as I turned onto my street, there he was. Closer now, my mind was a whirlwind of fear and confusion. How could he keep up? Why was he after me? Then an idea struck me. The busy intersection ahead would be my chance. If I could cross it in time, maybe I could lose him in the crowd. I sprinted toward the intersection, desperation lending speed to my legs. As I neared the road, the light turned red and cars began to whiz by. It was now or never. I took a deep breath, ready to make a dash for my life. The roar of the traffic filled my ears as I stood at the edge of the busy intersection. Cars zoomed by in a blur, a river of metal and speed. Behind me, I could feel him getting closer, his presence like a dark cloud on my back. I had one chance, one moment to escape. This was it, the summit of my fear and my only shot at freedom. With a deep breath that trembled in my lungs, I waited for the smallest gap in traffic. My heart pounded like a drum in my chest, each beat screaming for me to move. And then, as if the universe aligned for just a second, there was a gap. Without thinking, I bolted. The world seemed to slow as I dashed across the street, cars honking and brakes screeching. Fear propelled me forward, every instinct screaming for survival. I could hear shouts, the screech of tires, but they were distant, drowned out by the blood rushing in my ears. I reached the other side, my feet barely touching the ground, and didn't stop running. I glanced back once to see the man at the edge of the road, watching me. His figure was motionless, an ominous silhouette against the chaos of the street. And then, just like that, he turned and walked away, disappearing into the crowd. I didn't stop running until I reached the safety of a nearby store. Collapsing against the wall, I gasped for air, my body shaking with adrenaline. The store clerk rushed over. Concern etched on their face, but I could barely speak. All I could do was point shakily back towards the intersection. The police were called, my parents arrived, and I was enveloped in a flurry of questions and worried embraces. But even as I was safe in my mother's arms, the terror of that chase lingered. I knew, even as a child, that I had come face to face with something truly horrifying, something that defied explanation. The man was never found, and life eventually returned to normal. But the shadow of that day hung over me. I never walked alone again, and McDonald's, once a place of joy, became a reminder of the day I stared into the eyes of a silent stalker and escaped.